So the thing that inspired us was actually, it's a funny story. There was this article in the Wall Street Journal in the fall of 2017. Peter and myself both read. Peter and I didn't actually know each other, which I think is a pretty rare thing for co-founders. We both read this same article. I'll tell you what it was about in a moment, but we both read this same article and we both emailed it to the same mutual friend and said, isn't this interesting? And then that friend connected the two of us, which I think is a pretty unique story. But the article was about Walmart, which is the second largest employer in the US. Walmart offering flexible pay to their 2.2 million workers. And Walmart deserves all the credit for inventing this concept of why do people have to get paid on a very long, tedious schedule? Why can't they get paid in real time? Walmart happened to build that technology themselves in-house, and this article was about that. And both Peter and I had the same thought when we read it, which is, this is an awesome idea. Somebody should make this product so that any company could do it, and you shouldn't have to be, one of the largest companies on earth in order to pay your workers more fairly. This is going to sound crazy, but I really think we can serve over 100 million frontline workers. We're at 3 million out of 100 million, but there's just so many people on earth that are frontline workers. And what does a frontline worker mean? It means they're up on their feet to do their job. It's a service job. It's typically hourly. It's not a salary. It's not behind the desk. And there are, that's half of most workers in most countries. So there are, 1 billion people in developed nations that fall into that category. So I think success for us would be serving, 10% of them, which is 100 million people. So there's two numbers that we track for measuring ourselves of are we achieving our mission and our goals and our objectives. And actually right now in February of 2024, those numbers happen to be the same number, which is 85, which is just a total coincidence. One of them's growing faster than the other. They just happen to be overlapping right now. But those two 85s are 85 million pounds. So the first is the poverty premium reduction. And so that's the poverty premium, which is the whole purpose of the Fair by Design Fund. The poverty premium is about what are the extra costs that lower income workers and individuals pay for the same goods and services that all of us pay less for, they pay extra. And we've reduced the poverty premium in the UK by 85 million pounds, which is something we measure and track and we're quite proud of. The second is also 85 million pounds, and that's the amount of savings that people have put aside through Wagestream for the first time in their lives. So lots of people struggle with savings. I'm really, really proud of the work we've done with Harvard and with Nest Insights to pilot opt-out savings programs for workers. And right now, workers have saved 85 million through the platform. That's going up by a lot every month. So next month, that number will probably be 97. It's kind of skyrocketing. But as of right now, those are sort of the two headline numbers I'm most proud of. So we have quite a lot of funds on our cap table. Actually, at last count, that we had 27 institutional investors. So how did Ascension stand out? I mean, I'll never forget our first meeting with Jean and Emma. It was in February of 2018. I didn't live in the UK yet. I was still living in California. I was over here, Peter and I were visiting. There was the Beast from the East. I'm not sure if you remember this. It was a terrible snowstorm, and the streets of London were covered in snow, and everybody was canceling their meetings with us because they were like, I couldn't possibly, there's, a millimeter of snow on the ground. How could I possibly come to an office? And so we were getting all these cancellations, and Jean and Emma said, hey, we're here, if you guys want to come. So right away, they stood out in that, unlike a lot of other VCs who won't be named, they didn't cancel. But then we showed up, and this mission alignment of the poverty premium, of impact, of not being scared of the concept that you can be a for-profit business and try to pursue shareholder value and impact on the world at the same time, and that those aren't in conflict with one another. I mean, it's incredibly rare, and Ascension was really the first fund that we met. We've now since met others, but they were the first that we met that really felt that way, and that prioritized impact, and didn't think that it necessarily went against profits, but it actually supported profits. What gets me out of bed in the morning, this is going to sound so nerdy, we all have a feed straight to our phones of every single App Store review. So whenever anybody leaves a review on Android or iOS, it goes straight to our phones. And that is the first thing that I check in the morning when I wake up. And I absolutely love it. It's like a drug, right? Of just seeing, there's 500,000 people use the app every day, and dozens of them leave reviews. And it's a really great way to wake up every morning. I'd like Wagestream's legacy. This sounds really self-aggrandizing, I guess, but I'd like Wagestream's legacy to be a lasting, durable, public, global financial institution that only serves frontline workers. And, there are none of those. So every bank and insurer and, everyone out there kind of moves up market and starts serving the wealthy and there's all these categories, right? Because high net worth wasn't enough, so they created ultra high net worth, and I think there's mega high net worth and super, they just keep moving. And I would love for us to be the first ever global public financial services firm that just says, no, we are about, the everyday frontline worker and not the ultra high net worths. Our lowest low and our highest high, the lowest low, definitely the one that sticks out is we were, until very recently, a loss-making business, so we had to go get funding from VCs. And anybody who's been through that knows you get quite a lot of rejections. But it's like, when you're waiting for, this famous thing when you're waiting for buses, and there's no buses, and then a whole bunch come at once. So we had been in process for a month with one of our fundraisers, and then we got 8 rejections in one morning. And we had heard nothing, right? Oh, we're still looking at the data, And then just one by one, they were like, it's a no from us, it's a no from us. And by the 5th, Peter and I were answering the phone. Did you see the caller ID? Answering the phone, we're like, yep, this is Rejects Are Us, how can we help you? It was a lot of rejection packed into a very small interval. But then, then we started getting some yeses, so it all turns around. Highest high, I don't think it's happened. I don't think our highest high has happened yet, but I think it's imminent. I think when we cross 100 million of savings for frontline workers, again, 75% of whom has never saved money ever in their lives, I think that'll be something really worth celebrating and feel good. One piece of advice I'd give to founders is you have to be okay with rejection. And it's something I tell my kids, and having people tell you that your idea won't work, that it's stupid, that you're stupid, that your assumptions are bad. That you just have to be comfortable with that and not let it get to you. And I think Peter and I are wired in a weird way where it's just never, I remember even as a child, just never actually caring about that. But as I look at my kids, I think you really just have to be comfortable with rejection to get into this line of work. And if you're not, you probably shouldn't become a founder, because it's not very glamorous. It's mostly a job of rejection and failure, ever so briefly punctuated with a couple of good moments.